All right, I guess we're live, so let's just go ahead and get this started. This is kind of an impromptu stream. I just got all the configuration done on my relatively new laptop that I got last December. Unfortunately, you know, if you operate Linux, you know the story about what Linus said about working with NVIDIA, and that's been the case with this current laptop I have, which has a dedicated GPU, but we did get it working. So we're going to try and get things moving now as far as being able to stream. I think the only latency or lag that you might get from this stream is going to be because I'm running on a wireless connection. And so that will probably be the culprit, but if there are any other issues like with audio or streaming quality or anything, please let me know. You can comment in the chat. I'm always monitoring it, so we'll see how this goes. I think the easiest thing to do is always like YouTube React videos, because you only have to have like 2 or 3 applications open at once. Now, if I look a little bit odd in the corner of the screen, it's because I'm not running VC Face. I usually run XR Animator and then port over to VC Face and then put that avatar on any streams. But VC Face is not that cooperative on Linux-based systems. I tried getting it to port over, and it did as far as like body motion and everything, but not facial expressions, and I'm not sure why. So I'm just running it on XR Animator, which can be a little bit wonky unless you're doing full body 3D and jumping around a room like a certain VTuber likes to do, although I don't think she's streamed in a while. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch 3 Scotty Kilmer videos on the Miata. One's an ND, 2 of them are NAs. The 2 NAs are after he had moved from Texas to Tennessee. So these are 3 of my favorite Scotty Kilmer videos for obvious reasons. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first one is the ND video, so I'm going to go ahead and start playing that one.
Rev up your engines! Mazda Miata, the only 2-door roadsters that sold more than 1 million worldwide. Now, how did they sell so many? Considering they have relatively tiny engines. It's a 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder engine. It only puts out 128 horsepower. Better than the original 115, but hey, no rocket. Now, at least this model came with a manual transmission. It's a 5-speed. If you get one of these, especially the old ones, the automatic's a dog, and they broke all the time. Do not get an older one with an automatic. But these manual transmissions are pretty bulletproof. They're a classic roadster. Engine in the front, transmission, and then strictly rear wheel drive. You get more smiles per gallon in this car than just about any car out there. No, you're not going to beat too many people in drag races. That's not what this thing is for. This is a fun little 2-seat convertible for...
You know, I meant to play the ND video first, but this is one of the NA videos, but I'm not going to bother switching order, so let's go ahead and continue with it.
Cruising around in. What I really like about it, is what a lot of people hate, is you can get them real basic. Hand crank windows. And do you have to worry about the top's motor braking? No, it doesn't have a motor. Top up, snaps on the inside. Then when you want it down, top down. I'm sure it's got a little trunk, but at least it has a trunk. The trunk is not storing the convertible top. There's a reasonable amount of room in it. Now, this 94 Miata was just purchased for $4,500 in the shape you see it now. The main reason he paid $45,000 was because he got the hard top with it, matching red, that snaps on. Some of those hard tops in the shape his, which is original shape, top alone will go for $2,000. You get tired of a rag top, you can put that hard top on in the winter. A lot of people don't like rag tops because they're noisy. You got a rag top. You drive by a diesel truck with the rag top up, you hear all the noise. But with a hard top, no. Now that's one reason a lot of the modern cars are convertibles, but they have hard tops that fold on and off, but they use machines to do it. Hydraulics, they're very complex, cost a fortune to fix when they break. The top for this just snaps on. He's got it stored in his garage because he's not using it now. You can put it on whenever you want, and then you don't have to deal with all that noise. So basically you got a hard top and a soft top in one car. Now a lot of people negated these things saying, oh, it's a girly car. The main reason they sell so many is because they're fun to drive, and as we start it up, realize they can run an indefinite period of time. This particular one has 155,000 miles. Listen to that engine. Doesn't shake, not particularly loud. As the Japanese cars, almost everything still works. Turn on the AC. Still blows cold. Power steering still works fine. Still gets good gas mileage. Most everything is still stock on it. Back in those days, 94, Mazda made some of the worst automatic transmissions in the world. This is a standard. You don't have to worry about.
It doesn't matter that I think 98% of all NA Miatas were sold with the manual. I don't think there are any more automatics on the road that have less than, or that have more than 100,000 miles. The ones that are still around are probably ones that were driven very sparingly by older people. There are a lot of manual, or rather there are a lot of Miatas from the first generation that were automatic that either the transmission went out, or if it didn't go out and it got to like the third or for the fourth owner who liked to do mods, they did a manual swap.
About any of that automatic transmission crap. Like I said previously, I wouldn't buy one with an automatic. They're dogs. But if you are going to buy an old one with an automatic, pay a guy like me to check it out before you do. You have to, because if that transmission's going out, you don't want to buy the car. I've had people buy the automatic transmission car, throw the tranny away and put a standard transmission instead. Nothing wrong with that if you don't mind doing all that work. Typical well-built Japanese car. Change the oil every 5,000 miles, the coolant. Once
that radiator is going to have to be replaced, as I mentioned in previous videos. Once it turns brown like that, the plastic is, or the polymer that's used to make that radiator, I mean, it'll either last another 20,000 miles or it'll just blow tomorrow.
So every 5 years or so, they can last forever.
And this is obviously a 1.8, as you can tell based on the embossing on the cam covers, as well as some of the other features there, like the intake tube.
And with this, there's only one thing you got to worry about. This has a rubber timing belt. So you want to change the timing belt every 100,000 miles. Modern ones, of course, have timing chains, but all these old ones, they had timing belts on them. Take the plastic crap off. It's very easy to change these timing belts. I've done a bunch of them. I could probably change the timing belt in this thing in an hour, hour and a half. They're very easy to work on. The cams are here, the crank's down there. Lots of working room. You could do it yourself, and if you do pay a mechanic, don't overpay. Shop around, because this is a very easy car to do. It's a double overhead cam engine with one timing belt inside it. They're very easy to change. Now, before these cars were made, I had a friend. He said, I love English sports cars. A lot of people do, but they break down. They're made like crap. Somebody should make an English sports car that has a Japanese engine in it. Well, Mazda went one better. They built the whole car, the Mazda Miata, and people bought them in droves. Now, of course, there is an English sports car out there with the Toyota engine. The little Lotuses, they upgraded them a little, but one I had here the other day, hey, it only had 30 more horsepower than the Matrix. The main thing is they're small, light cars, they're fun to drive around, and that's what this is. Now, normally checking out a used car like this, you know, I'm gonna hook up my scan tool and do a bunch of tests, right? Well, this is a 94, it's OBD1. So most of that stuff is useless. I gotta use my head and years of experience to check one of these out. But if you are gonna check one of these babies out, the first thing you wanna do is turn the key on, don't start the car. Make sure that the check engine light comes on. When you start the car up, the check engine light's supposed to come on. If it's not on, it means somebody removed the bulb, and it might have a lot of problems. Then what you do is you start the car, and of course the light should go off, which it did. The brake's only on because I got the brake on there. Now that's off too. So with this Miata, we know the light's there, the system's working. And as we drive around, we just watch. If that check engine light comes back on while you're driving, there's a problem. And then you'd want to have it checked out before you bought it. Form like this one, they're pretty quiet. When you rev it up, They really don't make that much noise, and most people like it that way, but you can put in loud mufflers, whatever you want to do.
I kind of like the
They're
stock
quiet
exhaust.
enough that nobody's thinking twice when you're driving it around. Check it out. And I do literally mean check it out. You want to check them out. It's not that they break on their own much, but if they're broken, it's often signs of massive front end damage. I wouldn't buy it. Being a sports car, they're pretty low to the ground. Not outrageous, but you can see this one has been repainted. There's the overspray. They forgot to take the tape off after they did the job. But I gotta say, they did a pretty good job painting it. The car itself looks good. It was repainted before because I can see the tape marks here on the pillar. But they did a pretty good job repainting it, I gotta say. But even though it's a 29-year-old car, hey, the chrome is still in good shape. They made a good job when they built these things. Original wheels, you could paint them over to make them look a little nicer. But it even came with these decent tires already on it. And even though it's a small car, it's still pretty solid built. Listen. New cars don't even sound that solid. So take it for a spin. This is what makes these cars so much fun. A little open-air roadster. When you get to the cars, they're fun for spinning around in. You can have a lot of fun in one of these things. You don't need to go a million miles an hour. It just feels like you are with the top down and being low to the ground. Easy, smooth shifting. These things are just a lot of fun to drive around. And even though it's a two-door roadster, it's extremely dependable. You see many of them still going. Even though a lot of kids drive and rag the heck out of them, they keep going down the road. They got excellent balance. Sure, they're not perfect like a mid-engine or rear-engine car, but hey, they are a lot of fun to drive around. And like I said, they're no drag cars. We'll go full speed now. I mean, they go down the road, but they're not going to break any land speed.
That is a 94 Miata, and I think he gave away the model year because it's a 1.8, but if you'll notice here, it still has the real oil pressure gauge. That's how you can tell.
They're just a lot of fun. They're not going to leave you stranded. You get tired of the rag top, you can put the hard top back on. Hey, it's an all-around fun little car. Now, the speedometer is overly optimistic with this 140. The real top speed of this thing is 118 miles an hour, and you're really pushing at that. But it is just so much fun to drive around. It makes the regular speed limits when you got the top down feel like you're speeding anyway. So, who cares? This is not a race car. It's a fun car that you can drive for a really long time for a really low price. I mean, he only paid $4,500 for this thing. And the only thing he did to it was polish the tires and detail it to make it look snappy. And as you can see while I'm road testing, when I floor it, I don't hear any backfiring. And when I let go of the gas, it decelerates smooth.
I always wonder how he does like the camera work when he does these videos. That's so unsafe, and that's got to be violating multiple laws, traffic laws at the same time. But you know, it's Scotty, so
usually it doesn't jerk and it doesn't backfire. If it's backfiring, jerking, hey, you don't want to buy something like that, because there's so many of these out there that are still in excellent shape because they were so well built. As long as they got this manual transmission, and you don't have to deal with the crappy automatics that Mazda's built over the years. Let's face it, this thing is basically a go-kart for adults. You can have a lot of fun in these things for a very small amount of money. Look at that. Handles like a dream, even though it's almost 30 years old. Now, there's plenty of ragged out ones that you can buy that are a lot cheaper than this, like this one here that my grandson bought. But if you can find one in this kind of shape that looks and runs like this and also has a hard top for $4,500, you're getting a sweet deal. You could have a toy for a while and then sell it on to somebody else. This isn't like some English or Italian or German sports car that's an endless money pit, that's a bomb waiting to explode, and if it explodes on you, you're the one who's got to pay for it all. These are very dependable cars. You buy one like this that's solid and good, hey, it's a decent investment. Really, the only thing that doesn't work in this is the radio. And hey, it's a junky radio anyways. He's going to put a nice Android in soon. They're interesting cars. They were well made. You can get them dirt cheap. Although not a new one dirt cheap. The Miata Club fancy one with Brembos and stuff is $35,800. So they're not giving them away. But these used ones, for that kind of money, $4,500. The average new car costs about $45,000. You get 10 of these for one of those. And that's a deal. So if you
all right, on to the next video,
And here's some bonus questions.
Whoops. All right, here's the ND video.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rev up your engine. Here's the 2020 Mazda.
No joke, I missed the old Scotty Kilmer intros when he said, you know, rev up your engines, and then there was that like that music after that, dun, 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 like Western music or something. I don't know.
Mazda Miata Grand Touring. Now the Mazda Miata is the only two-seat sports car in the history of mankind that's sold more than 1 million units. It says it right there. And how do they do it? Well, 3 ways. They're fun to drive, and they last. They don't break down. Now, the first Miata was 1989. Back then, sports cars were notorious for breaking down, having problems. Mazda fixed that. They made a reliable, cute, fun little car that didn't break. Before the Miata, lots of people loved British sports cars, Italian sports cars, but they had one big problem. They broke down all the time. They weren't reliable. Back when they started in the United States in 1989, these things were $13,800. What a deal for the money. Now, what you see is what you get. A beautiful looking little sports car. Not a race car by any stretch of the imagination. The original had 116 horsepower. This one, it has 181. Nothing outrageous, but hey, it can run a long time because there's no turbocharger. It's a very reliable engine, and a long time ago, they want the timing change. You don't have to worry about changing a rubber timing belt. Those days are long gone. Rather than going for insane speed like, say, a Honda S2000, which, by the way, they don't make anymore, this went for insane reliability. I've got customers with Miatas that have over 300,000 miles on the engines. It can run a long time, especially if they're like this one with the 6-speed standard transmission. I never was a fan of the automatics, but truth be told, the newer ones, the automatic transmissions are much better than they used to be. They've redesigned stuff, and they're not bad, but they're nowhere near as much.
Truth be told, I do have one friend with an NC who has it's an automatic, and I think it's the original transmission. I want to say that car has like 160, 170,000 miles. So, yeah, the new ones, the NC and the ND autos do last. I wouldn't get one on an NA or NB though, even if you can't avoid it.
Much fun as this thing, because 181 horsepower is 181 horsepower. You made it with a standard transmission. You can have a lot of fun. Like I say, it's not a race car, but it's a lot of fun to drive with a standard transmission. This particular one's the convertible, a little bit slower, 0 to 60 in a little over 6 seconds. So it's no speed demon. That Corvette, it did it in 2.4 seconds. But it does have a top speed of 135 miles an hour, so it's no slouch. And the color, it's insane. This is called Soul Red Crystal Metallic. It is the best red I have ever seen in my life. You want a classic red sports car? Here it is, sitting in my driveway. And to top it all off, it's got a really nice sunroof. We'll start it up. And we'll push the magic sunroof button. What a sunroof! You get all kinds of sun. You don't have to do anything except push a button. And you got a nice stable top too. It isn't open. Mazda Miatas were always fun convertibles, but they were the rag top, the soft top. The windows would fog off. Tops, the ultraviolet rays of the sun ruin them. They look bad, they rip, and you got to put an expensive new one in. Plus, if you've never driven one, they are noisy as can be. There's no insulation in them. So when you're driving on a highway, you hear the 18-wheelers going around you. This has a nice metal top. So it's quiet when you're going down the road when it's up. And when you put it down, you don't have to mess with it, worry about stuff ripping and tearing and fading in the sun because it's made out of metal. Then we check the inside. It's a nice little sports car, well appointed, black, chrome, nice leather, and man, does that red paint pop. But it's a modern
I love it
sports
against
car.
that tan interior.
It's got everything you want. It's got charging ports, and it's a true sports car. What's in the middle? The tachometer. Speedometer's over here.
The tachometer being in the middle is kind of reminiscent of the RX-7, especially the FC, with the speedometer off to the right and then all your other gauges off to the left.
Tachometer's here. Good gas mileage. I've been driving like a lunatic. It still gets 32.8 miles per gallon. And a well thought out selector for the computer. Very easy to use. Well, if you're right-handed. I happen to be left-handed, but well, that's life. Right behind me, a cute little glove box. It's in the back instead of the front. It's got a lock too if you leave the top down. And it's a Japanese car, made in Japan. Freezing cold AC. And yes, it has electronic controls, traction, and all kinds of safety devices. But if you know how to drive and you drive like a maniac, you can turn that off. And you can turn off that assistance too. So, you want to drive hard and you know how to drive, you can do that. It isn't one of these force you to drive wimpy cars. You can drive it whatever way you want. You have the choice. Just flick the button. So let's see how it drives. Now just sitting there idling, you can see. It's a quiet car. Now let's see what it can do from a standing start in first gear. Not too shabby. And that's why you want to turn the traction control off. So you might have thought, oh, 181 horsepower, you can't have any fun. You can have loads of fun in this thing if you know how to drive. After all, it's a classic rear-wheel drive sports car. Stubby, short, engine and transmission towards the middle. And they even thought about acoustics. With all this special stuff, with the top down, it is not that noisy on the highway. As you can see here, the engine's been moved back reasonably far to make the center of gravity better. And yes, it is the latest Skyactiv version of reliable Mazda 4-cylinder Miata engines. These things can last a really long time if you just change the oil regularly. Unlike many expensive sports cars, these things are easy and cheap to maintain. When you combine the style with the color, with the fun factor, if you're looking for a 2-seat sports car, I would say look no further. And look, miracles of miracles. It even has a trunk. Now way back here, the top goes inside, but it still has a trunk you can put some stuff in. And it's got a subtle, aggressive front too on it. Check it out. And those beautiful chrome style wheels showing off the red paint. Man, it is a beautiful looking car. Yet as far as a sports car can be practical, it's practical, and as I said, it's made in Japan. Now it's rare that old Scotty gets blown away by a little car. Maybe it's because the first car I had was a red sports car. Maybe I'm trying to revert to my past. All I know is they didn't build anything like this in the 1960s. A lot of people said, oh, everything was better in the past. In this case, no. The present, much better little red sports car. And here's some.
Okay, all right. Now we'll do the other NA
Rev
video.
up your engine.
This one's kind of funny.
Here we have a Mazda Miata, and as you can hear, it's running like crap. We start it up. Rev it up. Obviously something's wrong. You're having this firing in the back. And we look under the hood. Well, somebody closed the headlight on the stay, so we're gonna have to open the headlight. Now we can open the hood. Hit the throttle. Doesn't accelerate right. So let's start with the basics. Spark plug wires are on. Let's make sure they're connected correctly. Now the wires are on, but according to my old data, as you can see, here's how they're set up.
I don't think that's right. That's for the... I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you Miata people are going to probably know what's going on here.
It's supposed to be 4, 1, 2, 3 on the coil pack. Now here's the coil pack. This is supposed to be 4. It's on the wrong one. This is supposed to be 4, which is over here. This is supposed to be 1. It's on 2. So we'll put 1 here. This is supposed to be 4, which is this one. This is supposed to be 2, number 2. And this one's supposed to be number 3 on the end. Now we'll double check them. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1. Number 1's in the front. Then 2. Number 2. And number 3. Now let's see what happens. So let's try to start it. Well, as you can see, it runs even worse now. So something's wrong. Well, don't trust anybody now because I looked it up on another.
Okay. Yeah, that first diagram was for the 1.6. This is the proper diagram for the 1.8. They actually reversed the firing order on the two because they moved the coil packs to the they moved the coil packs to the intake cam instead of the exhaust cam. So it's mirrored between the 1.6 and the 1.8.
Another site, and it says it's different. It says that the number 3 is supposed to be on the end, the next one's supposed to be 2, the next one's supposed to be 1, and the last one's supposed to be 4. So let's put it that way. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 3's supposed to be this one. It's hard to go on because it's a cheap wire set. Don't buy cheap wire sets. This one came with cheap wire sets. It's a really cheap set. Doesn't even have a name on it. I don't even know what brand it is. But at least now we have number 3 here. So 3's on the end. And the next one goes down here, which is number 2. Now we'll go back here. Here's number 2. Put number 2 on. Then the next one goes down as number 1. So this is number 1. And the last one is number 4. It's the only one left. So now let's see what happens. Here we go again. As you can see now, it's running decently. And what's the moral of the story? I used a reputable data system and it let me down. I would have thought, man, there's something really squirrely with this car. They gave the wrong data. And I know they got the right year because you look at the sticker, 1990 model. Now I looked up on all data, even 89, 90, 91. For every engine in these Miata,
I know exactly what happened.
The other one was a
Okay. See if we can go back. I'm going to point something out here.
And I know they got the right year because you look at the sticker, 1990 model.
It's not a 1990, that's a 1.8 engine. So that engine, okay, maybe the car's from, the chassis from 1990. I doubt the engine was swapped though. That's probably like somebody took a hood from a 1990 and put it on a 1994 model year car or whatever year it's from, whatever 1.8.
Now I looked up on all data, even 89, 90, 91. For every engine in these Miata, it stated the other one was a firing order, which is completely incorrect. And of course, there's nothing worse than being fooled by a data system. Give you the wrong information, then you think, what could possibly be wrong? Something's really squirrely.
Hey,
I put it
well,
all
no,
together.
wait, that's a... Okay, that is a 1.6. Huh. Okay, yeah, but anyway, the 1.6 and the 1.8 have a reverse order on their on the coil packs and the firing order. So that's the main thing you need to know. He probably pulled up the one that had the one that was for the 1.8 instead of the 1.6. You can tell it's a 1.6 because you've got down here you've got an air meter instead of a mass airflow sensor. And then the intake tube goes underneath that tube that goes to the radiator. That's how you can, those are the two of the tells that you can tell that it's a 1.6 instead of a 1.8.
Together the way they said, well, in this case, the data system was wrong. Always check various data systems. Don't rely on anyone exclusively, or you might be going down the wrong way for a long time in your attempt to repair a car. Let's take it for a ride. We'll see if it's gone back to being a fun little sports car. Here we go.
Yeah, that's a 1.6.
Yes, it is. Now, they're not race cars by any stretch of the imagination, but they're fun little zippy cars to play around in. You can have a lot of fun in one of these Miatas, and you can get them used dirt cheap. This particular one was a donation car. Somebody donated to a charity, and then they sold it. Now, something as dumb as having the spark plug wires put on wrong, it's gonna make your car run like crap. And yeah, this particular one has a door from another Miata in it, but it actually came.
It's got a lot from other Miatas. So those door cards are from a 1997 Miata because it has the extra shoulder padding here. And that door looked like it was Montego blue, which would have meant it's from a 94 through 97 Miata, one of those years.
Assembly. It really is nice. And let's face it, it's a small car. Not much to paint if you want to repaint it, or keep it as a rat car toy for just driving around and having fun. Smaller cars, these tires that are brand new, they didn't cost much. Of course, when you get a car like this, you'll notice the air conditioner doesn't even have a pulley on it anymore. Ooh, I can barely turn it. It may or may not work, but don't expect working AC on a car that's 32 years old. Portable top. That's the air conditioning. You can have a lot of fun with these 5-speed standard transmissions, but unless you want a dead turd for a car, don't buy one of these with an automatic. The old automatics back in the day, they were horrendous. The Mazda automatics were absolutely terrible. They broke all the time. They had no acceleration with them. This is not a high horsepower engine. With the standard, it's customize it as much or as little as you want. These double overhead cam engines, if you keep changing the oil in them, they're pretty indestructible. Just remember, the old ones have rubber timing belts to save yourself a lot of hassle. You got one with a timing belt, you don't know the history, you buy it used, change it right away. Once you put a new one on, generally they'll go 60 to 100,000 miles trouble-free. So do that if you're buying a used one as your first bit of repair. Then you get inside the engine anyways, you can see is the water pump leaking, any of the cam seals leaking, and you can fix anything that could be wrong. Because you got a 32-year-old car, things are gonna go wrong. Seals cost peanut money, engines cost a lot. Check it all out after you buy it. Change the belt. Now, if it has a chain, you don't have to do anything except changing the oil. But that's not until later model ones. And of course, the advantage of these older ones are, look, no ABS system. You don't have to deal with all that computer crap. And if you're handier than the average guy or gal, they sold over 1 million of these. There's tons of them in junkyards. You get one that's got smashed door like this one had, you can get a door pretty cheap. There's so many interchangeable parts on these things that for many years, wheels, tires, doors, hoods, trunks, you can interchange a bunch of the parts. You want to go aftermarket, put scoops and stuff on it, go ahead. There's lots of cheap stuff out there. And since it's such a small car with a convertible top, you don't have to paint the roof, it's a convertible top. So painting them isn't that much work. Maybe you want to give yourself a try at painting cars. It's the perfect car to buy to learn how to do stuff on. We learned today, one, don't trust anybody with information, except old Scotty here, because the data systems might be wrong. Double and triple check it. Something as simple as cheap spark plug wires that aren't connected and tight enough can make your car run bad. I would never buy these cheap wires. They don't even have a name on them. At least get Bosch wires or something, or original equipment ones. You won't have that problem. They fit exactly. These are more or less a universal cheap set, and I personally tried them for customers years ago to try to save money, and it bit me in the rear end, of course, when I'd come back a day or a week later and say, oh, it's running like crap again. What did you do? I realized I'm not buying those cheap crappers anymore. I'm going to buy quality wires. They don't cost that much more. So you pay 20, 30 bucks more. Is it really worth the headache of spending days trying to figure out what's wrong, only to find out the parts that you bought weren't any good? Don't get stuck like that. I did once, it's never going to happen to me again. I learned my lesson. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Missum32 says, what's wrong with this thing? I got no...
Anyway, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Hopefully the test was successful. I didn't get any responses about like the audio being of bad quality or the video being choppy. So I did have a few people in the chat. So I will call this first live stream on this laptop a success. So look for more content later this week. I'll probably do at least 1 or 2 shorts and hopefully 1 or 2 more streams. But mainly from my desktop. So we're still working out some kinks on this laptop. But so far so good. So until next time, I will see you all later.